everyone, welcome to LexTalk, world's talk show presented by Click of the Creators. Today we have Mr. Prithvish Rajamani with us. Mr. Prithvish is one of the most sought after family courts mediators in India with a success rate well above the industry average. With over a decade of experience and 80 plus successful settlement agreements over 18,000 hours, he has been recognized as one of the leading mediators in Bangalore consecutively for last 3 years. I actually have a lot to mention here, but I'm not going to take all of your time. And without further ado, let me introduce you to the man himself. Hello, Mr. Rajamani. Welcome to the show. And how are you doing today?
Thank you. All good. Nice to meet you and to be on this forum.
It is all mine, sir. Thank you very much for joining us for this session. But as I said, I've tried my level best to cover things about you. And without wasting any other second, let me drill down to the first question that I have. Um, we have had many legal professionals on this show, on this forum in the past, but not very often do we sort of have a senior mediation advocate who promotes alternate dispute resolution to the extent that you do. How did you get into it? And if you can share your journey, it would be really wonderful.
I think this all started somewhere in 2007 when I was myself going through a divorce. And I come from a family of legal professionals, all very well settled professionals in both environmental law, also from the High Court and the Supreme Court of India. Now, one thing that I realized was, in spite of having all that backing, my own case took about 7 years. Okay, so, and during the course that I was there, while I was meeting up with many people, and there was a huge, divide between what the law can do, the legal, parameters that are followed, and the common man, and they were clueless about it. And I was looking for, alternate, dispute resolution mechanisms so that, we can kind of, reduce the litigation time frame. Because right now, if you actually go to see, we have about an average family court case takes about 7 years, and we are trying to look to reduce that time frame, because 7 years is a long time in anybody's life. So we want to get to reduce down to something like about 1 year at least, which would make it a little more bearable as far as the people are concerned. So that was the one reason that we got into it. And another thing is, when we started this actually about 5 members. We started a Facebook group, and earlier on there was no platform as such to kind of promote alternate dispute resolutions. So we started, I think, in 2015 only, with the advent of Facebook and WhatsApp. We started there with about 5 members. We started. Today we have about 1,450 members from about 12 plus countries and almost every city in India. And we promote alternate dispute resolutions, and we provide them one-stop solutions for everything at our end. So that's how I started, and that's been my journey so far. And ours is not a professional way to advertise anything. So it was all grown by word of mouth. The fact that we don't kind of do anything except purely teach people and inform people and enable them to learn about law and what they can expect from it, and whether what is possible and what not possible within the constitution of the framework of law. So that's how we started, and that's how it is so far.
That's really brilliant, sir. I actually have this question. Rather, I find this very interesting to ask always. What will you choose, mediation or litigation? Or I've been to your profile. So first question is whether mediation or litigation. Then I'll ask my next question.
Okay. Any day mediation. Any day.
Any day mediation.
Any
All right.
day.
And why do you think that an individual like yourself should choose mediation over litigation?
See, it's an obvious choice for me. Okay. And because, see, when you go to courts, when you're there's so much of stress involved. There's tension. There is, litigation part, costs are there. Parties are invariably at loggerheads with each other. Okay. And, mediation is a far more lesser of the two, in terms of, the stress factors. Apart from that, you're also able to control the outcome to some extent, because mediation is a process where you come together and you sit and discuss. And with a professional like me, we'll be sitting and discussing and trying to give alternate solutions, resolutions. So one, you'll end up saving the relationship which SARS in litigation, because this litigation, there's a lot of blame game going on. Here, there is nobody who's blamed. I mean, it's like, okay, fine, here's the issue. How do we resolve it? What are the options available? So when you talk about that, when you tell people that they can make informed decisions about, the outcomes, if you actually go to court, there is a judge out there. I mean, he listens to so many cases per day that he may or may not be able to understand your, actual point where you come from. Whereas the person sitting opposite you knows the problem, you know the issues, you're the best person to solve your own issues. All you need is a little bit of guidance. So that we provide. So that can never be there in litigation. And litigation costs are astronomical nowadays. I mean, especially post-COVID has become really, quite a lot. So cost-wise, tension-wise, stress-wise, and to save a relationship in any which way you look at it, mediation is a far better alternative than litigation. Plus the time frame. I mean, I don't know whether you're aware of this, but it's a known fact that a simple civil dispute between two parties, on an average, takes about 23 years to get resolved in courts. 23 years. That's a lifetime for some people. I mean, suppose you land up filing a case when you're 60. By the time you're 80, 83, I mean, you don't even know whether you're alive, but the case is going on. So I would choose mediation any day, because in mediation, if the parties are willing, you can sort it out within a matter of day, 2 days, or my shortest has been 31 days and the longest has been 1 year. It's still far lesser than the 6-7 years or the 23 years that people have been fighting in courts. So mediation any day for me.
Yeah, that's I guess very true. I recently watched something. I think it was if I'm not wrong. The final verdict came out. One of the accused was dead. So I mean, that's very rightly put. And I guess it also reduced the pendency over courts.
It does. It does because what's happened is, even though we have had an Arbitration and Conciliation Act since 1996, the number of cases kind of exponentially grew. So the Supreme Court had ordered that all states must have a mediation center, and the option of mediation must be granted to everyone. So from that time onwards, it's been going. And to give you some rough figures, recently there in the Supreme Court, pre-pandemic, we had something like about 3.6 crore cases pending in the various courts. Today, we have about 4.8 crore cases. You're talking about 4.19 crore cases in the trial courts. You're talking about 20 lakh high court cases. You're talking about 76,000 SLPs in the Supreme Court. We don't have the number of judges. If you compare us to America, we have fewer judges per 1,000 people. And where are they going to, come and, deal with these cases? How are they going to? I mean, actually, I've written, and I'll share that article. Maybe you can have a look at it about this particular thing as to, the number of cases, the pendency, the time frame taken by each judge. It's simply not possible for a judge to dedicate that much time on a continuous basis to resolve everything. And recently, there was one particular thing which a very senior and respected judge of the Supreme Court said: if mediation is not resorted to, and if the litigation is the only way forward, the current pendency of cases, it will take us nothing less than 500 years to finish. 500 years. I mean, that's half a century. Why would people want to go down that path? When maybe not in your lifetime, in your children's lifetime, maybe in your grandchildren's lifetime, it may get resolved. Here is an option for you to sort it out straightforward. 6 months, 7 months, 1 year, you're done. And you get the result you want, or at least thereabouts. Okay, it's not something that's, because otherwise if you go litigation, it's a 50-50. Okay, it's somebody wins, somebody loses. Here there's a win-win situation being provided. Why would you not take it? It astounds me as to the number of people go to courts, whereas right now we even have pre-litigation. In mediation centers, you can approach them and you can go for pre-litigation, find out, resolve it. And something that people may be surprised to know: mediation, if it goes to a court-annexed mediation center, it's free of cost. You don't even pay for it, and you get certain discounts on the filing charges and things like that. So that's all there. Why would you pay lakhs to a lawyer? I mean, of course, lawyers have to earn their this thing also, but then, this is an option. Reduce the burden on everybody.
That's a very factual way to actually look at it. If I may also dwell down on ask a last follow-up question on this. Yeah. Do you think mediation is occurring that frequently in tier 2 and tier 3? If we talk about, if we divide it in this way, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, is it really happening that much in tier 2, tier 3 and lower courts?
Tier 3, maybe not so much, because they don't have the mediation centers available. But we operate in tier 3 cities also. Okay, you take places like Chengalpet or Vellore, we do cases. Those are all tier 3 cities, or maybe bordering on the bottom or half of the tier 3 cities. But tier 1, tier 2 cities, definitely. Every city. Wherever there is a high court, there is a mediation center. Okay, the only issue, and now any family court case, mandatory, it is sent for mediation. Counseling, mediation, lok adalat, you have 3 steps. You're given the option to go there. Otherwise, the case is not even taken up in the courts for a trial. It's sent there first. But the only issue that we have with it is that it's a voluntary process as of now. So one party, if he doesn't want to come, then mediation can't take place. And we are, I mean, I'm a part of this wonderful community called the Indian Institute of Arbitration and Mediation. And we are actually sitting with the government of India of the day to propose a mediation bill, which is currently in the Lok Sabha. And we hope that, it was supposed to come in the earlier session. We hope it's released because, the law ministry, everybody is, thrilled with the concept of this. There are some kinks that need to be ironed out, which we are doing. We are doing it with all the senior advocates, the senior judges, with the government of India, the Lok Sabha. There's a standing committee which is appointed, which is looking into all this. So we hope that, this is the way forward, because today, if you take mediation, is called an alternate dispute resolution. I'm hoping, and our community is hoping, that in the near future, litigation becomes an alternate dispute resolution process and not mediation. Mediation takes the focus. That's what we are hoping for, because that's the only way forward. Courts are not going to be able to handle the backlog of cases.
Nice, fingers crossed for this.
Yes.
Okay, moving forward with the session. You see, in pandemic, we saw many courts begin moving towards virtual proceedings, not just in India but around the globe.
Yeah.
But if I'll take just Indian context, what do you think? Is this sustainable? And is this a possible way to increase access to justice, in your opinion?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, I definitely believe so, because if you say, I mean, see, like. The pandemic was something that we all like to forget. It has devastating effects, but there are quite a few positives to take away from it, because just like the corporate sector, I mean, even the legal fraternity moved to working from home. We were appearing online everywhere. I mean, that kind of somebody kind of sitting at home could appear and doesn't need to kind of get up, go to court, and the courts are crowded. You don't know what's happening in the courts. The travel times, the time taken to go there, come there, almost they're going to court. Your entire day is ruined. And not only one person, I mean, there are 2 litigants, their lawyers, their juniors, their support staff. I mean, there's a whole battalion of people waiting there for a case. And on an average, there are about 150 cases in each court hall. And we have in Bangalore and some other places, you have something like about 6 court halls. So that means about 1,000 cases a day. Just imagine 1,000 cases that means the 1,000 cases means you got 2,000 people, litigants. You got 1 lawyer for each, so that's another 2,000 people. Their support staff, so you're talking about 5,000 people crowded in a court hall. How are you ever going to do that? Here, online, comfort of your home, you appear, the judges are able to hear, they're able to listen. Plus, another thing that I think is very important, which is something that we all really realized, is when I'm talking 5,000 people traveling in a city like Bangalore on any given day to court and back. If they're not traveling, can you just imagine the amount of carbon emissions that we reduce? Okay, see, we are all people, we know about global warming, but we have also tried to do our best. We have taken the green pledge. We have reduced the amount of printouts that we take. We've done the amount of paperwork. We've shifted from the legal green sheets to the A4 sheets. We've done so many things. And this is definitely something that, I mean, fuel, travel, everything put together, you reduce it. Sometimes if you go to the Supreme Court or the High Court, you take a flight, you go. Here you're online. The amount of emissions that you reduce is humongous. It's our bit. So in every way, it is sustainable. In the initial 6 months, I think after March 22nd, 23rd, when the courts all shut down, many courts are not equipped with the online thing. But now most courts are. Most courts give the preference of hybrid appearances. One can go there if they want. If they don't want to, they can appear online. So that is definitely the way forward. Even the corporate companies are now saying, work from home, come only 3 times a week or 2 times a day. They realize their overheads are reduced, their costs are reduced, the amount of space they require is reduced. So that's all these things that are definitely sustainable. It's just that, you need to have somebody, to take it forward and say, yes, I would like to appear online. And yes, the option is given nowadays. It's no more like you have to come to court.
But I guess still we are looking at, I mean, from an infrastructural standpoint, we are still looking at a lot of challenges. It will take, how many years do you think it will take for us to sort of adapt it? I mean, I understand it's in higher courts, but in lower courts, how many more years are we looking at in terms of adopting it actually?
See, purely where there's a will, there's a way. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, the Supreme Court has it, the high courts have it, the district courts and the family courts have it. Okay, so it's only a matter of the lower strata of the courts that are there. And I would say if somebody puts a mind to it, each court court hall puts a mind to it. What does it take? It takes a computer system, it takes internet connection. I mean, where's the rocket science there? That's all. Nothing more. So, right. So it's nothing else. I mean, you can just have a laptop. All you need is a good fiber connection. What else do you require? And judges are being trained on a regular basis. They go for various training sessions. Using a computer is even a kid knows nowadays. So it's not like, it's something that, they can't do. They're all aware of it. So the only thing that is stopping implementation is probably, buying the systems on a larger scale and, making it and, putting it there. But the COVID and the pandemic that was there has kind of enabled at least, 60 to 70% of the courts with these systems. So it's only about 30-35% of it is still left pending. And I don't think it's going to take too long as you said, it's not going to take that long to kind of implement it, because that will be the go-to thing.
I mean, fingers crossed for that. I mean, you said 60%, more than 60% have it. So I guess you're looking at a very small number. And I guess it's also about intent. But I guess intent is there. It's just about the last efforts that we have to.
No, and the Supreme Court is also kind of looking at it. It's been telling everybody to see the budgets are there. The budgets are there. There's not the question of there's not a lack of money. The courts have the budgets to do it. And if you take, let's say, if you're talking about 25 court halls. Okay, even if you land up taking a decent size, laptop, you take 50,000. Okay, you take 1 lakh, whatever. So what is it? It's 25 lakhs. You've got a system running up and running. And don't tell me the courts don't have that kind of funds. They all have it.
I mean, I'll have that. I mean, to proceed further from here is see, gone through about TRAN, and TRAN is a very unique concept. How did you? I also want you to sort of explain what TRAN is, because there are a lot of young professionals that witness our session. So, how did you conceive the idea and implement it? And did people take to it? A little about TRAN, of course, as I said.
Yeah. Well, even if I say so myself, it is a unique concept, because I haven't come across another concept like this, at least wherever I've looked, whether it is Europe or India. This kind of a concept is not there. See, like I told you earlier, I've been a single parent for about 16 years. Okay, and 7 of those years were spent in court halls for my own hearings. The trial court, the high court, and up and down. And like I said, there was a huge divide between the law and the common man, which needed to be bridged. So I was always thinking of doing something. And while I was in court, I argued my own matter, my own case, of course, with the help of other lawyers and other advocates, because we can't argue our own matter. So they were there. But a lot of people, when you actually go to court on your particular hearing dates, see, the next date comes almost on a similar date. So if you have 150 of us there on a particular day, the next date of hearing, when you're there, you have almost about 130 people of the same people coming. So over a 7-year period, you literally get to know them. I mean, at least not by name, but then people start discussing, you start talking. The women are there on the other side, the men are on the other side, you keep talking. So when all this was happening, people started asking me questions. Okay. In our case, this is what is the problem. This is the issue. How do we deal with this? How do we do that? Because lawyers handle so many cases, they don't have the time to kind of sit and explain what they're doing. So I used to get a lot of phone calls. I used to be sitting at home answering those phone calls, because I was looking after my son, who was pretty young, maybe about 3 years, 4 months old, 4 years. So I had taken a sabbatical from my work. So I used to get a lot of calls. So at that time, I think the initial concept was from my mother. She said, I mean, if you like doing this, if she saw the passions that I had for law as well as for helping people out. So she said, why don't you take this up a profession? You can do it from the comfort of your home. You can advise people, and you will also feel, doing that, doing something for the good of the community. So it was her idea primarily. Apart from that, I think that's where it started. About TRAN, well, we started off as, it's actually a Sanskrit word, which basically means a safe haven. For where, all single parents, they come together. It's like an umbrella where who wants to, confidently move forward, because we have all our challenges, men, women, we have our challenges looking after, our children who are very young, admissions, running behind tuitions, managing our careers, things like that. So we kind of give them a one-stop solution for everything, whether it is legal or financial assistance, not a financial assistance, I'd say financial planning, in the sense that, somebody gets a settlement, what do they do with that? Because it's one-time settlement. What do they do with it? Where do they invest it? Many of these people have not been looking at investments or mutual funds and things like that. So how do we have then another thing is, it's very easy to ignore your health if while you're in court and doing that. So your health takes a backseat. So we have a wonderful set of doctors who are on call. We have tied up with ThyroCare for medical tests to be done at the comfort of your home. We get discounts. All these things are done. Okay, so basically we are trying to provide a stress-free environment for single parents. So that's what TRAN is all about. And like I said, I mean, people took to it because it's not like we are sitting in most groups. If you see, there is a little of motivational messages, things like that coming up, and all this. We have none of that. We actually come to my group, it's purely legal questions which are answered. That's it. Legal questions, or this case is not going like this, how do I deal with this? What is the meaning of this section? What is the meaning of that section? Purely we do only that. So we enable people, and that's what we started doing, and it's kind of God's grace has really picked up.
I mean, it sounds like and I guess it is something that is made on very basic value proposition that is giving back to society. I believe
Correct.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Plus, we also, what we do is we kind of we don't see, if you actually go to most lawyers or advocates, they will never be able to give you a kind of a time frame or a cost projection of how much the case is going to cost. So we do that. Okay, so we say, okay, fine, on an annual basis, this is what we charge, which is lesser than the market standards. So any client who comes to us, they have the ability to plan in advance. That, okay, fine, this is what I'm going to be spending per year or per 2 years, or this is what I'm going to be spending per hearing. So when they have an idea, they are far more prepared, both financially and mentally, which is what they need. Otherwise, there's all question marks. No lawyer will commit to anything, or say that, okay, fine, we'll see how many hearings it takes place for a long period. ADR, what we call as alternate dispute resolution, was called alarming drop in revenue for lawyers. Okay, so which in turn, that's what they called it. And now they're all coming on board, because for them it's like, revenue, yes, but they're seeing that they're able to earn it in a shorter time frame without having to spread it over 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. It takes their time also. They're coming around. Eventually we'll have more trained mediators. IIAM is training mediators from all walks of life. APCAM is training. We have SCMA from UK where we've all done our courses from. And even if you don't want to practice mediation, it is something that is useful for you in your day-to-day life. Dealing with people, negotiating with people. That's something that we all do. It's a kind of it's something basic which we all need. Even between father and son, mother and some son, anywhere in family, without negotiation, there's nothing. Everything happens. So it's a basic thing that everybody needs to have. It's a skill set.
Also, I guess TRAN is also about educating people. I mean, that's what I can guess, because I've recently in a session I talked about that. My father always, even now, he says that don't be friends or enemy with a lawyer or a policeman or a policewoman, for that matter of fact, because na unki dosti achhi na dushmani. That's what they call it. And I guess I mean, after being associated with LexTalk, what I have learned is it's not a business of justice; it's a business of law, and you have to feel comfortable with law in order to understand and accept it the way it is.
Okay, may I ask you a question? You just used the word justice.
Yeah.
What is your definition of justice?
I'll be honest, I don't have any specific definition for that, but I'm not sure. I might have a Bollywood kind of a question, because for obvious reasons. Even this line is not mine; it's a Bollywood line, but I really liked it. Even if you're asking me, I guess for me, justice is you giving the rights to the person when actually they need it, and making them feel that they got what they really were looking for. I mean, from a judicial standpoint.
Okay, I'll tell you. I'll kind of relate two things. First and foremost, the courts are not there to give you justice. Okay, what they can at best provide you with is the least detrimental alternative as a resolution or a solution. Because see, if you take, always one person feels that justice has not been done because he's lost the case. One person feels he's won the case. Now, the word trial, please understand, both parties know exactly what the story is. Is the judge who's on trial at every stage because he's supposed to figure out the truth. 9 times out of 10, the standard of evidence that is required to prove any case is so high that it's never available. So justice, I would say, leave it up to God. Okay. Or if you want closer to justice, go for mediation. Courts, I don't think they've got so many ifs and buts and don'ts and constitution and laws, and they're held back by so many things. Even if they know that this is right or wrong, based on the evidence at hand, they have to pass orders. So why go to somewhere where it's not something that you may or may not get? Here, I'm giving you the option in your hands to have a win-win situation. So in this context, I'd say justice is something, leave it up to God or the maker, whatever you call it, or the power above. Here, go to them for solution-based things which are kind of limited to expectations, should be limited. Everybody says, I'll see you in court. I keep telling them, I said, you say that word, you should be, I'll keep seeing you in court because you're going to be there for 10 years. So that's the concept.
I mean, I guess I took a lot of nuggets of this conversation. Now, this is going to stick throughout my lifetime. This has been a great discussion, Mr. Rajamani, but I'm not going to let you leave us without answering a very basic question. As I said, very young individuals who aspire to be a lawyer or are a lawyer and trying to figure out their way want to learn a few more things, such as time management. And you see, we always use the line that time is money in any profession, but in legal, it's most of all. My question is, how do you ensure to make the best of your time as an advocate, and what's your advice to the young professionals out there?
See, first and foremost, I would not entirely agree with the concept of time is money. My theory is a little more time invested is money. Okay, because if you have any professional, be it a chartered accountant, lawyer, anybody, instead of listening to the problem at hand and to find a resolution, if he's looking at the clock and the number of hours he's billing, he's bound to lose out on what's the core issue which needs to be addressed. Okay, so the more time you actually spend in listening to the problem of the people, you'll be able to give suggestions and resolutions and solutions to the people, and they'll be happy with it. My firm TRAN itself is an example of that. We don't look at time management as such. Okay, we look at time as an investment into figuring out what the problems are and the resolutions that we can get out of it, and specific to the person. And that is the one reason why from 5 to 1,450 members it's grown, because we give them the time, we listen to them. If you ask me one thing that we have at TRAN, that is empathy. We listen, we give them a ear. We don't say, okay, fine, your time is up and my next client is waiting. So the youngsters who are coming up, I would tell them, money will come, clients will come, you do your best. 2 people talking to 2 other people will get you 4 and 40 people clients, and my firm is a standing testament to that. Okay, so don't bother about time, things like that. You take the time out. That's what people need, because there's so much of animosity, there's so much of anger, feelings, that's there all over here. If you take the time out and address those issues, 9 times out of 10, he's going to go and tell you, he's going to tell a friend of his, listen, you have this problem, go to this guy or this person, because he will solve he goes with the confidence in you. Give them the confidence. Money will come on its own.
Wise words from a very wise gentleman, Mr. Rajamani. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
We have actually looked at very simple questions from a very different angle, and I guess it opened everyone's eye. I do a lot of sessions, but I've never heard of such concepts from such angles. So thank you very much for enlightening me over this. And of course, I always mention this, that we will be always looking forward to having you on the session to discuss some other training topics in the international legal industry, specifically mediation.
Correct.
And for our viewers, if you like this chat with Mr. Rajamani, I want you to like this video, and of course to share this video, and click on that red button to subscribe to Click of a Creators YouTube channel to appreciate what we do, and you have more coming in from legal industry leaders. This was Sagar for Let's Talk World, signing off.